Most people think there are three sides to being human: the mind, the body, and the spirit. And we are generally told that if we work on these three aspects of ourselves, we can make changes in our lives. Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Kingsep. So maybe you spend time on your mindset and you watch and you read self-help material. Maybe you go to the gym and try to eat healthy for your body, and you meditate and have a religious or spiritual belief or some sort of practice with regards to your faith. But what if I was to tell you that there are four aspects of the self that require work? And it's the fourth aspect that can drive the most change in your life. Now, what if I was to tell you that we have mind, the body, the spirit, and the shadows, or the shadow self? Do we all have a shadow self or a darker side, including you? Now, these are questions that I'm really very much asking you. It does sound sinister or creepy, doesn't it? The darker side of ourselves, or the shadow. But it's not. And we're going to discuss this shadow self. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you practical advice on how to start your shadow work today. So stay tuned for that. I do believe it will change your life. Those that put the time into shadow work often make significant life changes. New jobs, new relationships, new life goals. And the reason I say this is that the unresolved parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves we push away and bury deep, are still there, and they still affect us in our lives until we shine a light on them and resolve them. The goal is to acknowledge it, reframe or heal it, and then move forward. Your shadow side is what you see as dark and weak about yourself, needing to be hidden and denied. Of course, this depends on your perspective on what you think needs to be put into the shadows, so to speak, and ties in with your sense of self, your self-esteem. Although we might want to see our shadow side as negative, this is a myth. We all have parts of ourselves that aren't necessarily our favorites. The parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable, from doubts and fears and guilt and shame, sadness, rage, laziness, and cruelty. These self-labeled bad aspects of ourselves make up the shadow self. Now, when it comes to labeling the shadow parts of ourselves, it may be the unacceptable attributes you see in another person or people. Our negative judgments of others often shine a light on our shadows. It's often called projection. For example, you might often feel that other people in your life are self-centered and self-absorbed. Maybe you think the world is in a bad place due to so many people only thinking of themselves. However, it may be that once you honestly reflect on yourself, you find you tend to be self-centered and self-absorbed. And this is part of your shadow self that you try to hide. Now, there's a reason the shadow sides of ourself are often ignored or denied. And this is because the qualities don't fit in with our conceptions of ourself. Denying and hiding the shadow self can prevent us from reaching our full potential. This is particularly true when we suppress certain parts of ourselves due to low self-esteem, anxiety, or possibly incorrect beliefs instilled during our childhood. Our belief systems are often rooted in our childhood. Once we have learned that a particular behavior or a character trait is bad, it becomes difficult, it becomes challenging to overturn. We all come into the world as newborn babies, open and free of judgment. But as we get older, we have experiences that cause us to judge ourselves and others. With our shadow stemming from beliefs we learned as a child, an example may be that you were often teased for being, overly talkative. Believing that you talk too much, you may try to hide the aspect by examining every conversation with others to see if you do. Now let's say you're asked as an adult to provide a presentation to your work colleagues. Before you start presenting, one of your colleagues leans over and says, "Look, are there too many slides in your PowerPoint? You might be saying a little bit just too much." All of a sudden, you notice your anger ignites. So why does this happen? Why do you suddenly and quickly flare into anger? It isn't the comment from your colleague. It's not your presentation or the possibility of having too many slides. The colleague's statement has tapped into the part of you invested in not being too talkative. The colleague's comment has brought your shadow self into the light, so it will be seen as a threat to your identity and who you want to project to others. Now, I'm really hoping this makes sense. Now, when you repeatedly ignore your shadow, it will find ways to make you aware that it exists. Now, this can lead to multiple issues such as self-loathing or a poor self-esteem, self-deceit and deceiving others, anxiety and depression, offensive behaviors towards others, struggling to have healthy relationships with others, self-sabotage, self-absorption, or very much self-centeredness, an inflated ego. When you reject your shadow, you may also start projecting onto others. Projection happens when you see things in others that you subconsciously recognize within yourself. As a result, you can seek to judge or punish others who reflect those traits. Now, if you're seeking personal growth and change, and ultimately to live your life to the fullest, you will at some point come across many parts of yourself that you'll find difficult, if not completely disturbing, to accept. Now, one of the best ways we can do to move forward is to find ways to work towards accepting and integrating the shadow rather than continuing to reject it, to repel it. Now, when you explore your shadow, this involves a process of bringing acceptance and compassion to areas of yourself that you have previously drawn a protective shield over. It involves gaining a deeper understanding of yourself. While it can be challenging to take a deeper look inside ourselves, learning to integrate your shadow can lead to a happier and more fulfilled state of being. Now, before integrating or beginning to integrate your shadow, you first need to find it. To do so requires self-reflection and a willingness to investigate where your shadow lies and how it plays a part in your life. So this is also known as shadow work, and there are steps you can follow to explore and to get to know your shadow self. Different methods work for different people. You must be in the right headspace to do this. Please also make sure you have the support in place, either from a professional or someone in your life that you can talk this through. And so the first strategy I can share with you to begin your shadow work is to think about someone who has triggered this in you, or you have a strong negative emotional reaction to. As I said earlier, one way in which the shadow self shows up is in what we find most challenging in others. And often this is a reflection of parts of ourselves that we find unlikable. It's our shadow self. So an excellent place to start with shadow work would be to think of someone who bothers you in some way and reflect on what it is about that person that might also be within you. To figure this out, it's important to ask yourself gentle questions such as, what don't I like about this person? Do I have this trait within me? What creates the difficulty in being around this person? What parts of me does that person bring to the forefront? And also, how do I feel about that? Now, looking at your own family, it's important to look at what aspects of my family, my parents, my aunties, my uncles, my grandparents, do I dislike? What attributes of my family members do I dislike, or does it make me feel uncomfortable? Ask if any of those qualities or attributes about those family members are in you. Now, I hope this has helped you to start thinking about your shadow self, as we all have one. and you have a greater understanding of what it is and where it comes from. And I hope you'll put the time into working on those aspects of yourself instead of trying to bury them, suppress them, push them down. Now, please remember that in this life, some of our greatest lessons will come from looking at the parts of ourselves we hide away. Because when we can bring our shadow to the surface, heal, and integrate those lessons into our lives, this is where the magical change happens. Now, thanks very much for watching, and if you have any comments or any shared discoveries while doing some of this basic shadow work, please share them in the comments. I very much look forward to reading them and hopefully commenting on them. Thanks very much for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We have plenty in front of us in terms of content, useful and practical for you. Bye for now.